The Aratere, the Kiwi ferry or KiwiRail ferry between Picton and Wellington is soon to be retired as a result of, well, coming to its natural life. And as a consequence of that, and the two new larger ferries not entering service until 2029, we are going to have 4 years of quite significant disruptions, it is suggested, to ferry traffic across the most vital piece of water, Cook Strait, which is going to affect not just recreational users, but also and particularly commercial users. To talk about what happens next and how those disruptions can be minimised, we're joined by Adele Wilson from KiwiRail, who has, as I said to you, the rather interesting title of being Chief Customer and Growth Officer, which I'm sure she'll explain to us as well. Adele, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Michael. Lovely to be here.
How on earth do you end up with the title of Chief Customer and Growth Officer?
That was made by other people, Michael. I haven't actually
It'd have to be, wouldn't it? You're too smart to have that title.
Oh, no, look, it is actually an interesting thing. It's as KiwiRail is embarking on its transformation, one thing that it decided now back in 2023 was actually to, as part of that transformation and the journey to becoming more customer-centric, was actually to split out the front end of its business, which most people know as sales and marketing, and to introduce a pure customer focus onto the leadership team. So that's where the role evolved from and is a core part of our transformation, which is all about becoming more customer-centric.
Okay, and the growth bit, does that mean growth
Yep.
the service the services
Yeah,
that you
that's right.
supply?
It's about improving the utilisation of our assets, and that's both our rail assets and also our ferry assets. That's the key, is getting those assets. Rail works really well for everybody, the ferries work really well for everybody, and financially work their best when they are fully utilised. And so that's really the task that we're embarking on as part of our transformation.
Yes, that's right. Because although we talk about ferries, really, you're all about rail. Really, at the end of the day, rail freight. And then you've got this link across.
Yeah,
Carry on.
Yeah, it's one system. So, and that's it's really interesting, isn't it? The rail system in New Zealand has a seafaring link, and so when we say we're all about rail, being about rail is actually being about the ferries. So it is an integrated system. Freight is an integrated system. It needs road, it needs rail, it needs coastal to do its job for New Zealand. And rail's a key part of that. And the task ahead of us is to make sure that, between the assets that we are the stewards of for New Zealand, that we make sure the system continues to work over the next 4 years.
Okay. Now, you've been through a pretty rocky pathway as an organisation over the last 18 months. We won't go over that. We all know about why and how that's come about. The Aratere is to retire when? When will that ferry diminish?
So it's sometime this year, and the reason that we can't give a specific date on that yet is because we've only just been able to announce this. We really wanted to deal with our people first. This impacts a lot of our staff. We wanted to give them the respect that they were the first people we spoke to. Now that we've done that, we can start to do our planning with third parties, and we're just embarking on that. And the key issue that we're working through now with Bluebridge and with other third parties, including regulatory authorities, is the maintenance schedule for ships, our own ships, but also that requires knowledge of what's the maintenance schedule look like for Bluebridge. And we need to make sure during these 4 years that maintenance can take place on all of the boats in off-peak, and that only one ship is, I'll get told off for that, one ship is out at any one time in those planned maintenance windows. So that's the job, and this year is the year where we need to set up those maintenance schedules and get that right for the country for the next 4 years. And that's going to take a bit of discussion, which we've already kicked off and is underway over the next few weeks.
However, the retirement of the ship isn't due to any problem with the ship, is it? It's because
Correct.
it's got specialised loading equipment, and you've got a wharf that's the problem. Now,
That's right.
The wharf, which wharf is that? At Picton.
At Picton, that's right, and it's the wharf, but it's also really the start of the total construction program for the 2 new ships, which requires a lot of work. That's for Port Marlborough to speak to, but this being able to get access to the Aratere's berth does help with the process of getting on with that entire construction program and enable that on time and on budget.
So how many people are going to lose their jobs as a consequence, or be made redundant as a consequence of the Aratere not being in service?
Yeah, look, we're not putting a number on that at all. We need to work through this with our people. Overall, our total crew on all of our ships is 327. And what we will be looking at now is what are the crewing requirements for a 2-ship operation, because those ships will be fuller, so we will need more staff to operate them. And also we've got other operations that need to be set up and supercharged, including our road bridging operation for rail. So there will be new roles as well, and we need to work through that and work through that with our people. And we're going to do that with our people, with them first, and we're not making any assumptions about.
No, it's fair
numbers,
enough. I
when we
understand
know
that, because you're
those
hoping
words,
to absorb the
know.
ones that are going to lose their jobs into the other parts of the operation, and you've got things like people leaving natural attrition anyhow and things like that. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep.
Okay. All right. So now for consumers though, and I assume this doesn't mean just people who are using it for holidays like me, but also for rail-enabled freight, exactly, and I guess trucks as well. You're now saying that the number of sailings is going to dramatically reduce. So how many sailings do you do currently a week, and what will that reduce to?
Yeah, that's great, and a good opportunity for me to put some numbers to this and give some perspective. So the Aratere at the moment does 4 sailings each way per day, 2 from Wellington, 2 from Picton, and she carries at the moment 650 passengers, which is roughly 25% of the total capacity of the fleet. But the thing and this is why I talk to utilisation, Michael, is on utilisation, and this hopefully gives some comfort to people, the average utilisation of the ships over the year sits in the 60s, at around sort of low 60%. So
when you say utilisation, you mean that's your 60% of your capacity, what, for both freight and passengers, or for both?
Yeah, for the overall. Exactly, for your overall capacity, and that's because we look at lane meters, and lane meters can be switched between CV and passenger, and also rail. Not on all ships, into different proportions. It's actually a super complex exercise planning these ships, but just in an overall level, it sits at around 60%. And our modelling says that with this new model, with 4 ships between ourselves and Bluebridge, being on the Cook Strait, that utilisation will lift into the low 80s. So we've got room, and what's going to change and where the crunch comes, and being real about it, behaviours will need to change, is with our peak days. So we look at allocation literally on a daily basis.
Well, you mean school holidays and things like that?
That's exactly right.